as a language rather than literature. It's more of why the alphabet A came first in the entire alphabet series and why not anybody else or anything else. So interesting stories that we can tell. He is fond of writing and is a regular contributor to your most favorite app, the GUETA application. The content that you see there, especially grammar, right? That's where Sir comes into the picture. He does not teach the specific subject, origin, growth and development of English language as part of his workload, but has agreed to share with us his knowledge for the sheer love of the subject that he carries. Dr. Patel believes that City campus has taught him a lot. He has never been a student here, but his wife was a part of being a student at this particular institute. So many life lessons he has learned from here. The important thing is that since I've been here since 2022, I've always seen him coming here to deliver the talk, and whenever we give a call, he's always ready. Yes, please, I'll be coming. So he's a very pleasant person to be with. And I hope you enjoyed this lecture about the origin, development and growth of English language. Whatever we have heard about the Old English, the Middle English, the New English. I hope with this way we'll be able to showcase you all that in the lecture. So not taking much time, I'll further give it to
By the time I get my specs, I will wear the goggles.
हाँ ये કરી દો કરી દો
So I was always happy to come here. My wife was a student for 2 years, and I will walk to this college for my happiness. And since Venktesh is a PhD student, there is connection, and one of my friends who is like me to be here, so I am happy to come.
अनुराग
And I welcome you all for today's talk. I appreciate the
Anurag sir.
successful organization of this GUETA talks on English.
आइए सर ने फ़ोन कर लिंक मोकली सर ने फ़ोन करा आइए सर
वो लिखा हुआ जो ये हो गया. So, welcome to GUETA talks. Today, our purpose is to discuss the origin, growth and development of English language. That is part of core paper 316. And I sincerely appreciate the efforts made by our teachers, so his colleagues and his college, and for the love and kindness you have always shown me. Friends, at the end of the talk, you are welcome to ask questions if you have any. So let us now begin, and I will try to be as simple as possible. So English had a very humble beginning. Humble, you know, not a grand beginning. And it began as an offshoot of 3 Germanic dialects. Over 500 years ago, it was spoken. Over 1500 years ago, it was spoken by 1 out of every 100 persons in the world. And today, 1 out of every 100 persons in the world and all the speakers of English that time lived on a small island we call Great Britain. I hope everyone can hear me. Today, nearly 1 out of 8 persons in the world speaks English. So you understand the difference. 1 out of every 100 and 1 out of every 8. And today English is the most powerful language on the planet. One scholar, Kenneth Kessler, comments regarding the growth of English. His words: the spectacular advance of English across the face of the globe is a phenomenon without parallel in the history of language. There is no other language which has this kind of success within 1,500 years. However, English began as a transplanted variety of Low German. If you want to know Low German, I will explain later. And it had no influence outside the region, that is Great Britain. But facing challenges, countless challenges, it has achieved its present form and status. Its history is a record of its adventures we are going to discuss today through a millennium and a half. And a millennium and a half is not much time in the human history. It is a story of struggle for survival and of eventual triumph. It is almost like the story of a pauper who goes on to become a prince. So you can look at the historical influences on the English language. So look at Celtic, Latin, Anglo-Saxon, that is the beginning, that is the root, Anglo-Saxon. But before the Anglo-Saxons came, two peoples were there, Celtic and Romans. I will explain later. Then there was Norse, Old Norse, Anglo-Norman French, then influence of French, Greek, Latin, Italian, and all other languages of the world. So you can make the points if you want. Now, throughout its history, English has been constantly shaped by external forces and internal influences. You don't need to take photographs. We will send you all the slides. Doesn't matter. With another mind, but don't take this trouble. We will give you. So throughout the history, English has been constantly shaped by external forces. I hope you understand external forces and internal influences. Development taking place within and because of outside forces. Now, major sources of external forces, sources of external influence include the Roman Empire, Christian missions, Viking invasions, Norman conquest, the Renaissance and Reformation movements, and mass media. I will explain the sources. Internally, English has developed through processes like the loss of inflections, simplification of grammar, the great vowel shift, that is interesting part, that occurred between 15th and 18th centuries. Incorrectly Geoffrey Chorus and Shakespeare are also important internal influences. For purposes of study, the history of English is divided into three broad categories because there cannot be clear-cut demarcations. You cannot do that. This is not possible. But broad categories will help you to understand its development. So three divisions: Old English, Middle English, and Modern English period, which is further divided into early modern English and late modern, that is present day or late modern English. Now the first period. The first period is called Old English or Anglo-Saxon period, which laid the foundation of English language. That is the beginning. As we can see here, Anglo-Saxon. So, Old English is also called Anglo-Saxon, which laid the foundation of English. So, as we know, English originated from Germanic roots in the 5th century. Over the next 6 centuries, it was chiefly influenced by Latin and Old roots, that is German roots, and it was influenced during the early Old English period by chiefly influenced by Latin and Old Norse. In the second part, Middle English period, the Norman conquest, I will explain that. The Norman conquest reshaped English by introducing thousands of French and Latin words. English has been getting words from outside. Though initially, this interesting history, though initially marginalized by the Norman rulers, that is the Normans who invaded England, they marginalized. English finally won the day. That is interesting. That is this struggle for survival. Geoffrey Chaucer established during this period. Geoffrey Chaucer established English as a medium fit for literary writing. There is always somebody, some writer. For example, in case of Italian, it is Dante Alighieri. In case of Punjabi, it is Guru Nanak Dev, who established. In some writer who uses that vernacular of that dialect and it becomes acceptable to everyone. I think in Gujarati, Narsil Mehta or Mirabai, they are the earliest writers. And by the end of the 15th century, William Caxton's printing press, because language is basically oral, but written language makes a greater impact. Printing press set the stage for modern English, thus standardizing the language significantly. So that is it. And modern English period, as you can see, is divided into two phases: early modern and late modern. In the early modern period, the Renaissance, major influences were the Renaissance. We will explain what is Renaissance. William Shakespeare and the King James Bible refined the language for daily communication. That is an important contribution. The Industrial Revolution, after that, the Industrial Revolution and the British Empire took English all over the globe. today English is powerful because of that. In the late modern period and in our time in 20th and the 21st centuries, American influence established English as the most dominant international language. And I think President Trump doesn't like that. He is sending everyone back home. So all the young people want to go to USA. So Anglo-Saxon timeline, Old English period, also called Anglo-Saxon period. You don't need to even take notes. We will give you. I will give the. Just pay attention. If you have questions, write down. Ask me questions because I have a habit of being asked questions at home. And I will be at home if you ask me questions. Although I never give answers. But here I will give. The Old English period is called Anglo-Saxon period. It is marked by contact with the native Celtic populations. The legacy influences in the Old English period, the Celtic population, the legacy of the Roman Empire, the coming of Christian missionaries, and the Viking invasions in the northeast of England. So you can see begins with Anglo-Saxon, Roman brand of Christianity that came later, but earlier there was the Roman Empire. Viking raids began in the 8th, 9th centuries, and that is all. And come back to discuss. Now, just have a look at the image. Now, you see Anglo-Saxons and Jews. That is Jutland. Jutland is part of Netherlands and Germany. So they came to Britain. The roots are shown and the places where they settled. English Saxons and English Jews. The name is from Angles. In French, they call it Angleterre, the land of the Angles. So English originated from Anglo-Saxon dialects. The earliest form is called Old English, and the period it was spoken was roughly between 450 and 1150 AD. Nothing is near the divisions. These are the divisions. So English began its journey as a migration, with the migration of the three Germanic tribes, Anglo-Saxons, Jews. Now Frisian is also a Germanic language. The three tribes majorly came there. They spoke different Germanic dialects, which eventually blended together. When you live together, I think you go to any states, border states means bordering areas between Maharashtra and Gujarat, you will find people speaking Marathi and Gujarati or blend both. It happens everywhere. If you go to Haryana, they speak Hindi like Punjabi. So language is always, when they interact, they influence each other. It is natural. So this, in course of time, these dialects blended together to form what is Old English. And it seems a very distinct language from the English we speak today. So can you understand these symbols? these are Anglo-Saxon runes. Runes is ancient alphabet used by Germanic peoples. So, runes were ancient alphabet used by Germanic peoples. The word rune comes from Old Norse, which means a secret letter. And interestingly, runes were not created simply as an alphabet, but they were believed to have magical properties, mantra, and casting spells. जादू करना माटे एना माटे रोजनो उपयोग करो तो simply language નથી. Now Celtic, I told you Celtic people had inhabited the island, means Great Britain, for 1,000 years before the Romans came. And the Celtic languages, do you know which are Celtic languages? I will tell you later. Before the Romans and Anglo-Saxons came, they had lived there for more than 1,000 years, and the Romans called them Britons. However, as the Anglo-Saxons settled, you can see the map where the Anglo-Saxons settled, and the Celtic people had been displaced. They had to move to other places. So particularly Wales and Scotland. They displaced or assimilated, become part of Celtic, become part of the Anglo-Saxon. Much of the native Celtic population. So there is not much Celtic influence on English. So Celtic tongues survived the Roman Empire, but they were not matched for the Germanic tribes. The Celtic languages therefore had little influence on Old English, except in names of rivers. For example, Avon, Thames, they are from Celtic roots. Counties like Kent, Kentinium, Kent, hills, and other geographical features. There is not much influence there. Now, second influence is that of Latin. And Latin influence is manifested through two events, historical events. First is the Roman Empire, and the second is the coming of Christianity to England. Now, even though the Romans left England in 410 AD, the influence of Latin remained. And there was a greater impact of Latin later on in the 6th and 7th centuries with the coming of the Christian missionaries. The Italian monk, that is a big name, Saint Augustine, and he is called Saint Augustine of Canterbury. I have visited Canterbury Church, and Saint Augustine and his followers brought Latin back as a language of religion, education, and scholarship. Because in the medieval age, Latin was the lingua franca of Western Europe. So throughout the Western Europe, educated people knew or spoke Latin or read Latin. So Latin came in two ways, through two doors, that is Roman Empire and Christianity. Because Roman Catholics used Latin as language of communication. Now it was during this, in the development of English language, it was during this period, Old English adopted Latin alphabet in place of the rules which I have shown you, replacing the runic alphabet. This shift, this change, simplified Anglo-Saxon grammar because we follow Latin alphabet. Even in the army, they say Roman Hindi. Roman Hindi means what's up Hindi? तुम कहाँ हो? TUM. So it is used in the army because soldiers learn the English, but everybody should understand it. So this shift simplified Anglo-Saxon grammar and made writing more standardized. This was a ship. It is called long ship. Used for Vikings. I hope you have heard of the Vikings, the popular series on Netflix. I don't see it because I don't want to be addicted. So I avoid it. So Vikings were seafaring people, whose homeland was in Scandinavia. That is northern England, northern Europe. They traveled by sea in their long ships to different coasts of Europe, not only England, everywhere. And Vikings were pirates, traders, explorers, colonizers, plunderers, everything. So beginning in the late 18th century, that is 787 in the timeline, Vikings raided and plundered the source of India. They came to India. Gradually they settled in the north and east of England. You can see the map in the red, marked in red. The territory they occupied became known as Danelaw. Danelaw means they were Danish people, northern people. The area where Danish rules applied. So in that place, the Vikings ruled, other areas were ruled by the English. Vikings spoke Old Norse, which is a Germanic language. Now like cousins, Old English, Old Norse, like Gujarati and Marathi, with having the same root, and they were closely related. The contact between Vikings and Anglo-Saxons had a huge impact on English. So many English words that we still use today, for example, sky, gate, window, anger, knife, they came directly from Old Norse. Another effect of Old Norse was now English was much like the present day German. Present day German is a highly inflected language. So Old English was a highly inflected language. So inflections are word endings which reflect the grammatical role of a word. Now, for example, Uh, for example, I told him. When you said he told me, so what the words is? But if you say voice, that is inflection, you add something. And as what English interacted with Old Norse, there is inflections. Because inflections are difficult. Sanskrit is difficult because of inflections. You have all the vibhaktis. These inflections began to disappear and its grammar was simplified because of the contact with Old Norse. And this was one of the earliest steps toward making English what it is today. The title is given here, Beowulf. That is the main book or piece of writing. Now, despite the challenges, I told you, they did not have English, did not have its own script. They got the script from Latin, and there were so many inflections. Grammar was more simple. Now, despite these challenges, it produced some incredible literary works, and the main is Beowulf. The most famous of all is Beowulf, an epic poem believed to have been composed in the 8th century. It tells the story of Beowulf, a mighty Scandinavian warrior, old Viking warrior, who battles the monster Grendel's mother, and a fearsome dragon, as you can see here. Though containing mythical elements, Beowulf gives us deep insights into the values and beliefs of old Anglo-Saxon society. Another major work from this period is the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles. Chronicles means record of history. So it is a document that records the history of England from the arrival of Anglo-Saxons to the Norman conquest. So began during the reign of King Alfred the Great. These chronicles were updated for over 3 centuries. Now these are the Anglo-Saxon chronicles are one of the most important sources of information about early English. Now that was all about Old English period. Now we start with Middle English period. Look at the image. Middle English is a bridge between Old English and Modern English. And it was a time of enormous change. Lot of changes. Now at the beginning of the Middle English, English period, English was primarily Germanic in sounds, spellings, grammar and vocabulary, all these aspects of language. Between 1150 and 1500, the language acquired a different kind of structure, changed a lot. Having absorbed new words from Old Norse and Latin, it simply and simplified grammar, English moved closer to the language we speak today. And at the heart of this change is one historical event, and that is the Norman conquest. The Norman conquest was one of the biggest turning points for English. Norman means Northmen, and Normans were Vikings. Some Vikings came to England, some Vikings settled in Normandy region of northern France. So Normandy. So even today Normandy is there. The new ruling class of Normans spoke French. They spoke Norman French, not the French of Paris. That was purer. So Norman dialect, and they came to power in England. This took place in 1066 when William the Conqueror, his name is William the Conqueror, who conquered England, defeated King Harold at the Battle of Hastings. And I think England was never invaded after the Norman conquest until the Second World War. This was not invaded, but Hitler sent javelins with air rackets. The Normans were the Vikings who had settled in Normandy in modern France. Now see, the Norman rulers tried their best to smother. So French was the language of government, law, and nobility, upper classes. Only common people spoke English, only English. For about 300 years, Norman French threatened to destroy English. They were a long time. And then English might have been destroyed, but because of its resistance. But instead of disappearing, English absorbed thousands of French words, especially in areas like law, art, fashion, and music. Today, what English is doing to other languages, Norman French did to English at that time. And apart from French, Latin influence also takes place during the Middle English period. And in those days, educated writers, because common people only spoke English. Right now, common people speak Gujarati. Yesterday, I was reading news that Marathi schools, the number of Marathi schools is decreasing in Bombay. So, with all the talk of our Marathi Manus and Marathi schools are disappearing. That means people want to send their children to English medium schools. And you cannot change this trend because you have to Gujarati medium schools are disappearing. So in Middle English period, educated writers, I am not talking about Normans, English people, must have typically known 3 languages. Like educated Gujarati today, Gujarati or Indian today must know Hindi, English and regional language. So educated writers at that time must have spoken English as mother tongue, used Latin as the language of church and classical learning. French also derives from Latin. You know that? Indo-European language. It is Italic language. It derives from Latin. So, through French, Italian also impacted English. So, many Latin words entered into English during Middle English period. And Latin influenced everything from religious to scientific writing. So that is trilingualism. Can you tell me what this shows, this picture? Printing press. Who invented capsule? Now you can see the capsule. Yes. I'm just looking. Now one of the most significant, apart from Latin and French, one of the most significant developments in the history of English language was the printing press. Mexico. Invented by Dexter in 1476. So this invention promoted because of publication, because of writing. When you speak the language, you can afford to be informal. But when you write down something, you have to follow rules. So printing promoted a standard written form of language, and the London dialect became the basis for written English and paved the way for early modern video. London dialect, because London was the power center, and power does matter and impact. So during this period, Middle English period, most inflections were simplified or lost. In their place, word order and prepositions were used to indicate meaning and grammatical relationships. Because with the loss of inflections, you require something to show the relationship or meaning. At the same time, English enriched its vocabulary by borrowing many prefixes and suffixes from Latin and French. Henry the Fourth. Are you familiar with the titles of Shakespeare's histories? Which are Richard the Second, Henry the Fifth, it was his son, and this was the guy who became Richard the Second. His name was Henry Bolingbroke. So he is he is English and Norman both. His parents mixed after the Norman conquest, that were mixed marriages, and he was a Norman descent and English descent as well. So by the late Middle English period, English challenged French dominance for 300 years. Norman French tried to destroy English, but now English challenged dominance and established itself as the national language. So in 1362, English was officially used at the opening of the Parliament. So after 1066, English challenged Norman French. During this time, the 100 Years' War that took place between 1337 and 1453. Now you see, the Normans also maintained their territory in Normandy. So they ruled England and they also maintained their territory. But now they lost their territory, French territory, and they fought the French people. So 100 Years' War, during the 100 Years' War, English identity was strengthened because now the Normans saw them as English. They had no French territory, no French identity. Now after the Norman conquest, Henry the Fourth was the first English monarch who delivered his coronation speech when he became king. He delivered his speech in English. However, though English replaced French as language of administration, as language of law, the French influence did not disappear. Because French is a very good language. And there was a time, I think until the end of the 19th century, there was a time all fashionable people spoke French. not only in England, throughout Europe. If you read War and Peace by you will find many French dialogues. So, we are English medium more. We will not go in English. So, now by the end of the 15th century, the core part of English was still Germanic, but nearly half of its vocabulary was of non-Germanic origin, and that is the influence. And one of the greatest thinkers, Geoffrey Chaucer, because when I was a student, some students used to pronounce that Geoffrey Chaucer. So two main influences in writing during this time, Middle English period. One is Bible translation, and because I don't know how to make slides, so I have selected only limited slides. I will learn that. And so there is no slide on Bible translation. But the first complete English translation of the Bible, you know Bible. Bible has two parts, you know. Appeared during the Middle English period. The Oxford theologian John Wycliffe desired to make the Holy Scripture accessible to common people. Because Bible was available in Latin, that is Vulgate Bible. I will explain the meaning later on if you ask questions. Vulgate Bible, and only educated people knew or understood Latin. So common people have to depend on Latin or the priests. That is what Guru Nanak did in Punjab. He removed Sanskrit from his religious discourses or poems. He used Punjabi because common people use that language. So this man really wanted Bible available for all people. So he got the Latin Vulgate Bible translated into English with the help of his friend. Initially, the church authorities did not raise any objection to the translation. They had no objection initially. But as it gained popularity, English Bible became popular because common people used it. They banned it because they did not want to lose the monopoly of Latin because they knew Latin, and otherwise people could not rely on or depend on them. Meanwhile, during this time, 1,000 words derived from Latin because originally from Latin words came into English. So English words which were derived from Latin but they became English words gained currency in English because of Wycliffe's translation of the Bible. And then comes the greatest man of the time, Geoffrey Chaucer. No discussion of Middle English would be complete without mentioning Geoffrey Chaucer, often called the father of English poetry. His masterpiece, the Canterbury Tales, is one of the most famous works from this period. Chaucer's characters speak different dialects based on their class, profession, and background. So it always affects your social background, your economic status, your education, influences the dialect you speak. नहीं अहमदाबाद में सुबह लोगों को 4 रस्ता गया और भारतीय लोगों को चौपड़ी गया बोलते चौपड़ी और वैसे ना हो Well, I go to Mehsana. I am from Mehsana. I speak my language. I am proud of my language. It's my dialect. So, and because his characters spoke different dialects, you get the idea, the kind of English spoken at the time. Now that is enough. We are English medium. I didn't get a good slide of modern English. So I have to choose this one. And modern English period starts from 1500 onwards and is divided into two parts, that is 1500 to 1700. Some people take it to 1800 and later. So in the early modern period, English didn't seem capable enough to carry out the range of communicative functions that French and Latin could. Because you will also find, if you write something in English or in Gujarati, you will experience that Gujarati has certain limitations. You cannot express certain ideas in Gujarati. Then that was the same position of English in the early modern period. So people used French and Latin. So in the 16th century, writers like Thomas More and Francis Bacon, the essayists, they wrote that important works in Latin because they had little confidence in the performance of English language. Francis Bacon did not believe that English would last much. So, and near the end of the 17th century, Sir Isaac Newton, the great scientist, in his book Principia Mathematica, wrote in Latin to reach a wider European audience. Like some people, just 3 days ago I heard Sudhamurti initially wrote in Kannada. But Kannada is limited, has a limited audience. So she started writing in English so that more people can read her books. So early modern English was influenced by the Renaissance, William Shakespeare, and the King James Bible. Revival of what? Revival.
Literature નો revival.
કયા literature નું?
એજ્યુકેશન ને બધાનું revival હતો અને એલિઝાબેથ ક્વીન દ્વારા આવ્યું હતું કે બીજા બધા દેશોમાં જાઓ અને નોલેજ ગેઇન કરો અને આપણા દેશને વિકસાવો.
Yes.
Something new.
Fresh ideas, new ideas. But why it happened, you know? was dark age because of the destruction of the Roman Empire. And Renaissance started in Italy because the Turks defeated. Renaissance started in Italy. Turks defeated Constantinople, and Constantinople was ruled by the Greeks. That is Greek Orthodox Church. So in 1453, the Turks defeated Constantinople, and the scholars, other scholars, migrated to Italy to save their lives. So a new movement started in Italy because they spoke Greek and they also used Latin. So they got new ideas, and Renaissance moved from developed from Italy to Western Europe. That is. So Middle Ages are dark ages because this Germanic tribes defeated the Roman Empire and everything was lost. So Renaissance was a cultural movement that originated in Italy in the 15th century, that is after 1453. It revived classical learning and emphasized humanism. And you know Indian Renaissance? You know about Indian Renaissance? Search करो, write down the word Indian Renaissance. क्या है सर्च करना? So Renaissance started in Italy and it revised the classical learning. Classical learning means ancient Greek and Latin. And it emphasized humanism. So humanism क्या है? So humanism is focused on human beings and not focused only on God, spirituality or divinity. So humanism manifested chiefly in two ways. One is focused on human rather than divine beings. Now understand this difference. Classical books or classical texts were written before Christianity was born, before Jesus Christ was born. So they had no idea of Jesus Christ or Christianity. So humanism focused on literature that was produced before Christianity. And in the Middle Ages, Christianity was the most powerful religion, or the only religion in Western Europe or in Europe. So humanism was a direct challenge to scholasticism. Scholasticism means arguments or debates based on Bible. So when you take Bible as a frame of reference, you cannot go outside it. It is basically religious theology. Dharma Shastra. So humanism was a challenge to scholasticism, and so humanism is manifested in two ways. मैं आपको बोल नहीं कर रहा हूँ. Focus on humans rather than spirituality, and interest in ancient Greek and Roman texts. So if you read ancient Greek play, you don't find Jesus Christ or Christianity. No mention of that. So you are going beyond Christianity. And this intellectual awakening coincided with the transition from Middle English to early modern period. So the Renaissance means, what is the English word for it? Revival, rebirth. Comes from netra. Netra means reborn. So second birth, reawakening. Instrumental in making English more capable to express complex ideas and laid the foundation for modern English literature. And that is why we have all the university wits and William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare, a towering figure of early modern English period, expanded the English lexicon, that is vocabulary, by introducing over 700 words, new words. 700 or 2000 words. Shakespeare profoundly influenced English syntax and style by blending poetic elegance means poetic language and everyday speech. Because he was a great poet. His creative genius gave the language idioms and expressions that remain in common usage even today. There are so many expressions, so many words we use today, but we don't know that they come from Shakespeare. Next influence is King James Bible. When was it published? King James Bible. Now, King James Bible was King James first of Scotland, and he became King of England after the death of Elizabeth I. So, King James I of England, who ordered its translation in 1604, and it was first published in 1611. So after 7 years, that is how much they worked. The King James Bible is a monumental work in English prose. Its translators aim to produce an accessible text for all social classes. Same idea that John Wycliffe had. It should be available. Actually, there was a political conflict between Protestants and Roman Catholics. So Protestants wanted their Bible, and King gave them the Bible. That is why it is called King James Bible. The version of the Bible is noted for simple and powerful diction, simple language, and also inclusive. Because you want everyone to use it, and you know why it becomes so popular? Why? Can you tell me, Gujarati, why King James Bible became so popular? Yes.
Because it was in English and common people use English as a language also.
But more than that, common people use English is okay. Politically, it became more popular because it is called authorized version. Authorized version is the only version that Anglican Church can use. For 50 years after the publication, people did not like it. It was not accepted. But later on, it was forced upon people, all Anglican Church, and because British ruled the world, 1/4 part of the world. So they all followed Anglicanism. So it was used even outside Britain. Wherever English was used by, so they used the King James Version. And they ruled most of the world, and India became free in 1947. So English, there was the Bible used here. And that was the Bible taught in colleges, where Christianity was taught. So it standardized because everywhere people used to attend the church service every Sunday, and the priest read the Bible, and they got the language. But it influenced not only the common speech. Many writers were influenced by this. So it influenced literature literary writing. And Shakespeare is the second most important influence on English after the King James Bible. But it is interesting to note here, I will tell you this. After John Wycliffe, there was another man who translated the Bible. You know who? William Tyndale. William Tyndale translated the Bible in the 16th century. And which provided, this translation provided the basis for the King James Version. The King James Version copied it to a larger extent, But what is interesting, just less than a century ago, Tyndale was charged with heresy. You know heresy? धर्मला विरुद्ध के बोलो, जे accepted છે એનાથી જુદું કંઈક બોલો. Charged with heresy for translating the Holy Scripture. Because the church did not allow it. And he was executed by strangling. And Marina was strangling the accused. And then his body was burned at a stake, on a stake. Clapping for any body, clapping it, Sardar Deron. See the change. Unlike Wycliffe, Tyndale used, because Wycliffe used the Latin Vulgate Bible, Tyndale used the original Hebrew and Greek manuscripts. Because Old Testament was originally written in Hebrew, New Testament was written in Greek, because early followers of Jesus Christ were Greek. And Latin was the translation. So that was early modern period. मैंने हमको चालू की. What is it? So late modern English is distinguished. Late modern English is distinguished from Old English. Early modern English by extensive two things: extensive growth of vocabulary. English has the largest number of words spread, and second is global spread of English. Two things, two differences between early modern and late modern English. There is growth of vocabulary and spread of English. All about it. So first is Samuel Johnson's dictionary. I have seen his house. I went to him in 2015, and his quotation is cited outside his house. If you are tired of London, he loved London. So if you are tired of London, you are tired of life. એને લંડન નથી ગમતું, એને જિંદગી નથી. એટલું બધું એનો પ્રેમ હતો. So Samuel Johnson published a dictionary of the English language in 1755. Its significant is standardized. This is important contribution. Standardized spelling and grammar. What Internet is doing? Election Commission phone number. Hello. बात ही know Samuel Johnson's standardized English spelling and grammar? No questions starting forward to and yes, forward to the line is forward to very good. क्या मेरा इंग्लिश बोलना नहीं मना इसलिए लेकिन इंग्लिश बार बोलूँ तो अब लगे खुशी की आवाज़ बताऊँ मैं the dictionary made the use of English more consistent and also set a standard for lexicography. You know lexicography? Lexicography is the practice of writing dictionaries. So dictionary लखनऊ हमारे जो framework पर Samuel Johnson ने आपको first time. Second is industrial revolution. The industrial revolution of the 18th century brought about rapid technology. This revolution means great change, sudden changes. Brought changes, technological developments and social changes. The technology also affects social life. After the IT revolution, everything is changed. The way you spend money, the way you make payment, the way you make inquiries. So what kind of my son used to do this. Restaurant साल क्या है? Okay. आना 5 स्टार मिला था, आना 8 स्टार मिला था. So you understand? Social changes, your style of life, everything changes. तो आपको IT revolution से लोगों को industrial revolution को this impacted the English language. Industrial revolution का लिखे English language में अपन change करो. Because then we get new words to describe new things. क्या है? Download, upload, jot that book, Google file, Google Drive. So 50 वर्ष पहला Google Drive लेने Google ना पड़ा. मैंने 50 वर्ष पहला ड्राइविंग सिनेमा तो कर रखी. पर Google Drive new things, new words. So they require new words to describe emerging machinery and manufacturing processes. So many new words came for technology and scientific things. And all these new English words, scientific and technology words, were derived from Greek and Latin. Even today, medical science, many words are from Greek origin. So when two doctors talk about something, we never understand. Cardiac arrest, we understand police arrest, but not cardiac arrest. So that was one thing. And the spread of literacy in the early 19th century in England created a large readership. WhatsApp, everybody reads on WhatsApp. There are so many. Newspaper but now they read messages, use just messages on WhatsApp. जब मैसेज WhatsApp पर आता है और समझ में useless. So large readership because of literacy, and it led to greater demand for printed publications because people had no mobile, so they had a lot of time to read. And this not only helped to standardize English, but because of increased readership, novel become a popular form of literature. Now today, popular form of entertainment is seasons. Vikings season 1, season 2, season 3, Padamok season 1, 2. So people don't read, people watch the seasons. And in those days, people read novels in form of installments, weekly installments. So this encouraged the rise of novel as a popular form of literature, and Charles Dickens was the most popular writer of his time because he described the common man, their sufferings. And I have read he died because of his popularity. This is not exaggeration. He was so popular that people invited him for lectures. Not lectures exactly, but for reading his own novels. And there was no YouTube. Because on YouTube you record your lecture and people will play it again and again. But this poor man was invited and read his books. He was invited even in America, and speaking requires lot of power, lot of energy, and he overworked and he died early. That is all I have. And so he became popular writer. Here is British Empire. Once upon a time, Britain ruled 1/4 part of the world. Now purely Indians can be British. Mahatma Gandhi bata. No problem. Yes. Now we will see all the areas marked by color pink. They were under the British rule. That is 1/4 part of the world. You see Australia, America, Canada, these are all English speaking countries. So as the British Empire expanded across the continents in 18th and 19th centuries, English emerged as a global lingua franca. Because thanks to the British Empire, everybody speaks English. From this point on, there was no looking back for English. Because as I told you, English began as a Germanic language, and only 1% out of 8 spoke English. From this point on, there is no looking back. English became a dominant language in global trade, in media, administration. You know Macaulay's minute, 1835. People said that Macaulay was the English imposed English. I hear many people and they tell me that the British destroyed Indian culture and everything, and I do not believe this. Because Indians are still learning English. In fact, the British government made provision for elementary education in vernacular medium. They were good people. They wanted Indians to learn their own language. But today Indians do not want to learn English. सिखा हुआ माँ बाप ने भाई प्रोग्राम में बोला इंग्लिश मीडियम में. People ask me, Gujarati parents ask me whether we should send our children to English medium or Gujarati medium. So I give one response. Are you friends or tell them if you are friends, send them to Gujarati medium. They said no. And I know that finally they will send them to they are under pressure. And my children studied in Gujarati medium. And they are good. So English borrowed words from various nationalities and languages from all over the world, and it is a rich language because of that. And American English. The discovery of the American continent proved instrumental for the growth of a distinct variety of English, that is American English. And American English has notable differences with British English. Now somebody said America and Britain are divided by the same language. Somebody said I think Bernard Shaw or Oscar Wilde. So American English is different in spelling, pronunciation and usage. From mid-20th century onward, that means after the Second World War, America became the most influential country in the world in terms of technology, politics, and media. So, American influence also increased the global reach of English language. And digital media. The advent of mass media means television and newspapers and radio. The advent of the mass media in the 20th century was followed by digital revolution, and it significantly influenced how English is used worldwide today. Even today, new words, new expressions emerge continually. So, we are witnessing the ongoing evolution of the language. Teenagers across the world are most active in using the internet and social media platforms. That means English is going to be further researched in the coming decades. You are going to change English. And now we come to the end. Can you read what is written? Let us remember the Mahatma who shook the world in a gentle way. Best wishes to Mahatma Gandhi. That is after India's independence. And you know what Mahatma Gandhi said is, during the struggle for Indian independence, Mahatma Gandhi protested against the undue dominance of English. So there was one session, Congress session in Varanasi, I think 1927 or something. Mahatma Gandhi spoke in Hindustani. Hindustani is combination of Hindi and Urdu. And people did not like it. So his argument, if you want to be free from Britain, first get rid of that language. Use indigenous language, use native language, use any language. And Hindustani, because the Hindi, 40% of India speaks Hindi, use Hindustani. That was his argument. And in his autobiography, Satyana Prabhu, he writes, see, even he wrote Satyana Prabhu in Gujarati, which was translated by Mahadev Desai. He says, in autobiography, he says, I observed truth with sorrow, even then. His autobiography was before that, the prominent place that English language occupied in our affairs. So it was not against English. He spoke very good English. He spoke very good English. Excellent. Gandhi is a great man, even in expression. You read his English. It is excellent. But modern English achieved this greatness, achieved this success at the cost, at the expense of many languages. And Gandhi was against it. So, see the irony? Gandhi said, don't use English, and you are paying tribute to him. And Gandhi said in English. People now ask, Gandhi said, people ask, who is then Gandhi? Gandhi Jayanti. Who is this Jayanti Gandhi? That is how we ignore our own language. Finally, English still continues to evolve, shaping and being shaped by the modern world. Still ongoing process. While currently English holds a dominant position in global communication, its future status will depend upon the changing global geopolitical conditions, emerging technologies, and expanding cross-cultural interaction. Nowadays, only in India, people are trying to replace English with Indian language. There are certain words, new words you do not understand, but they use it to show that they are nationalists. So, I have made a compromise. I will use English and I will never forget my language. And I tell you one thing finally. If you do not understand your language, you will never have the confidence. Only using English will never give you complete confidence. But I say, do not ignore English, speak English, speak good English, but speak your mother tongue, your original language. You should, and if you learn more languages, it will give you a broader view. So the question is, will English maintain its global status indefinitely? We don't know what is going to happen next. So thank you. If you have any questions. Clapping because it was good or because it is over? Kahas, hopefully thinking. Any questions? कोई नाना मोटा सवाल है, कोई एनर्जी बाकी है? It was because of English education. So no questions? Exactly what are their names? कौन है? पहले वस्तु तो ये है ना, कोई रिसर्च करो, क्या फोकस करो. No, it is like looking for a life partner. એટલે આ વેબસાઇટ પર સર્ચ કરીને ના સર્ચ કરીને બાયોડેટા મોકલ્યા ને જોબ આયા ના આવે. So it is like that. So I advise you, તો મજાકમાં કહું છું, but wide range of interests. So Rajneesh, મને યાદ આવશે કે લેક્ચર પર Rajneesh sir કહો કે Rajneesh give a lecture, delivered a speech, and somebody asked him a question that I want to do something great in life, what I should do. Rajneesh told him that you will never do anything great. And that man got angry. And Rajneesh then said, now you will be doing good, great. So do not ask anyone what you want to do or what you should do. First, decide your interests, your goals. Because life means 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, 80 years. And out of that life, what you want to get. And that is not an easy thing. So you go to YouTube, then watch videos, how to decide goals, how to set goals. And I think you make a plan for 5 years. What I want to do in the next coming 5 years. And make a rough list. These are the things which would give me happiness, would give me meaning to my life. And I am sure if you decide your goals, that will give you power, energy, willing, and it will improve your health, your mental and physical. That is what I experience in my life, because I am never free. I enjoy every moment. So instead of developing one interest, you develop many interests. One or two interests can be major interests. So if you need my advice, invite me. ઘરે કોઈ મને સાંભળતું નથી તો મને તો ગમશે. Sharing just I speak less, but not because of my wife. Which girl? In spite of her, I speak less. See, English એ હંમેશા કોન્ફિડન્સ આવે છે. આપણે એવી છાપ છે, સાચી ખોટી ખબર નહીં, કે ઇંગ્લિશ આવડે એટલે હોશિયાર, ઇંગ્લિશ ન આવડે તો હું તો ઇંગ્લિશ અકસ્માત શીખી ગયો. અને એવા જ કારણે શીખ્યો કે એક મારા મિત્ર 10મા ધોરણની પરિસ્થિતિ આજે યાદ છે કે ઇંગ્લિશ આવડે ને તો બધા ઇન્ટરેસ્ટિંગ. મને તો કઈ આવડતું, આઈ ડિડન્ટ નો ઇંગ્લિશ, નોટ મેથેમેટિક્સ, નોટ સાયન્સ, નથિંગ, ઝીરો, ટોટલ વોશ આઉટ. મારો મોટો ભાઈ એનો ઇન્ટરેસ્ટ સ્કૂલમાં હતા તો ટીચર્સ મને મળે ત્યારે આપ્યું જ કે તું કેમ તારો ભાઈ ક્યાં. મને તો એમ જ હતું કે આપણે કંઈ કરવાનું છે નહીં જિંદગીમાં. આઈ વિલ નેવર ડુ એનીથિંગ. મારા ફાધરને મારી ચિંતા રહેતી અને મને એ ચિંતા હતી કે મારા ફાધરને ચિંતા હતી. I could read his best. બરાબર? પણ આ માણસે મારી જિંદગી ચેન્જ કરી નાખી. એણે કીધું કે ઇંગ્લિશ આવડે તો ઇન્ટરેસ્ટ તો એક જ, કારણ કે ત્યારે કોઈ ઇન્ટરેસ્ટ હતું નથી. તો એમ થતું કે એક રસ્તો તો છે ઇંગ્લિશ શીખ્યો, પણ કેવી રીતે શીખવું એ તો કરીશ. Fortunately for me, my father was a professor of English, retired professor so that. પણ મને નહીં આવડતું, મારે કંઈ લેવા દેવા નહીં. He never taught me. And now I never taught English to my children. Maintain the tradition. તો 12મા ધોરણમાં માર ઇંગ્લિશ પાસ થયો, 10મામાં માર ઇંગ્લિશ પાસ થયો. મારા મેથ્સ અને સાયન્સના ટીચર હતા, પ્રોફેસર ટીચર હતા. He was not a school teacher. He worked somewhere else. પઠાણ સાહેબ મારા મોટા ભાઈનું ટ્યુશન રાખ્યું હિન્દી ઇંગ્લિશ મેથ્સ સાયન્સનું. સારા માર્કે પાસ થયો. એટલે એને ભૂલ કરી સાહેબ મારું ટ્યુશન રાખ્યું. પણ ટૂંક સમયમાં સમજાઈ ગયું રોંગ એન્ટ્રી મારી છે. પણ પાછા બિચારા એટલું સારું છે કે મને તારીખો મૂક્યો. ખાલી બોર્ડની એક્ઝામ પહેલા મારા ઘરની દિવાલે પેન્સિલથી લખી ગયા કે અલ્પેશ બોર્ડની એક્ઝામમાં પાસ થશે. એટલે બીજા તો વાંક ના હો મારો નહીં ફોર્મ પાસ થયો પછી કે અમે કર્યું છે એવી જવાબદારી ના આવે. પણ પપ્પુ પાસ થઈ ગયું ઇંગ્લિશમાં 44માં પણ પાસ. 12મા ધોરણમાં 45માં પણ પાસ. અને એટલું સારું હતું કે એ વખતે ઇંગ્લિશમાં એડમિશન મળી જતું હતું. મારા ફાધરની કોલેજમાં જ એડમિશન મળ્યું સદભાગ્ય. એટલે લોકોને એમ લાગ્યું કે આ બોર્ડને ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રી કરવા ન પડે. હોશિયાર હશે તો લોકોની ઇમ્પ્રેશન છે કે આ તો હોશિયાર જ હોય ને. પણ મારા મનમાં બીજી રમત હતી કે ઇંગ્લિશ આવડે તો ઇમ્પ્રેસ થાય. See, fortune conspired to make me a success. તો લોકો મને માનતા કે આ તો પ્રોફેસરનો છોકરો એટલે અમે જ્યારે સ્કૂલમાં ભણતા સોસાયટીમાં લોકો મતો કહેતા કે પ્રોફેસરના છોકરાનો પરમાન નહીં. કોઈ 3 ભાઈઓ હતા અને 3 નંબર આવે એવા હતા. પોતાના છોકરાઓ કહેતા કે અમની પર નહીં ફરવાનું, કારણ કે ધમાલ મસ્તી જ કરવાની. મારો મોટો ભાઈ બહુ હોશિયાર હતો પણ બહુ તોફાની હતો, એક્સ્ટ્રા ઓર્ડિનરી લેવલ. IAS ઓફિસર બન્યા હતો, એન્જિનિયર બન્યો, પણ he could have become IAS officer, but he was not interested. ડોક્ટર બની શક્યો પણ એ એન્જિનિયરિંગ અત્યારે કરી રહ્યો છે. પણ વાત એમ છે કે you can begin your life at any time. પણ ફાયદો એ થયો કે હું 12મા ધોરણમાં હતો કે HM પટેલ કોઈને જોવું નથી, જોવા જઈ શકો, હું તો ફ્રી છું. HM પટેલ ICS ઓફિસર હતા, 1924ના ICS ઓફિસર. અને જેણે ભારત અને પાકિસ્તાનના પાર્ટીશનમાં ગવર્નિંગ કાઉન્સિલના એ મુખ્ય માણસ સરદાર પટેલે એમના મૂક્યા હતા HM પટેલને. અને જિલ્લાએ મારા ચૌધરી મોહમ્મદ અલી કેવું કોઈ નામ છે, પાછળથી પ્રાઇમ મિનિસ્ટર બન્યા ત્યાં. સો HM નું એક કેલિબર હતું. અને 12મા ધોરણમાં HM પટેલનો ઉપદેશ આપવાનો બહુ શોખ. છોકરાઓને ઉપદેશ આપે. અને જે સ્કૂલમાં હું ભણતો એના એ મંડળના પ્રમુખ હતા. તો એક દિવસ 12મા ધોરણમાં મને યાદ છે એક સલાહ આપી અને એક માણસ 85 વર્ષની ઉંમરે HM પટેલ he was 85 then તો આ જ રીતે મારી 1 કલાક ભાષણ આપ્યું લાઈક ધીસ. અને એક વાક્ય મને યાદ હતું એવું કે એ બોલ્યા HM પટેલ બોલ્યા કે અમે ભણતા ત્યારે ખૂબ વાંચતા, એક પુસ્તકથી કંટાળી જઈએ તો બીજો પુસ્તક, બીજાથી કંટાળી જઈએ તો ત્રીજું પુસ્તક. આ વાક્ય મને ટીવાયમાં યાદ આવ્યું. An idea can change your life. સાચું અત્યારે બોલું છું આ જ વિચાર. કે વાંચું. So ગમે તે વાંચું. And I carry at least 3 books. Now I carry this electronic e-books. I have every app check to books available. So now I do not get my books usually. But otherwise my hobby was buying books, reading. Language improve થશે reading થી. Reading is the best. તમારે pronunciation improve કરવું હોય તો સાંભળો. અને reading છે તમે so એટલે confidence develop થશે. Go on reading. અને હું સલાહ આપીશ મારા જેવી ભૂલ ન કરશો. અમારા ટાઈમે આટલી અન્ડરસ્ટેન્ડિંગ નથી. Read Indian writers first. Indian writers who write in English. હું તો એવી સલાહ આપીશ કે you also read Hindi writers. You also read, if you know Gujarati writers, and read English writers. But start with Indian writers in English. Spare some time for Hindi and Gujarati writers. I read Gujarati and Hindi writers. Because જ્યાં સુધી તમે તમારા પોતાના બેકગ્રાઉન્ડથી પરિચિત નહીં હોવ ત્યાં સુધી કોન્ફિડન્સ નહીં આવે. તો એવું થાય કે પેલા ભાડે આપતો હોય ને કપડા, English is like that. You are wearing your dress on rent. સારું છે. મને તો ઇંગ્લિશની મજા જ આવી એટલે ઇંગ્લિશ શીખવાની મેં શરૂઆત કરી ઇમ્પ્રેસ કરવા. પણ અત્યાર સુધી એક જ વ્યક્તિને હું ઇમ્પ્રેસ કરી શકું છું અને મારા સસરા છે. પછી આવી ભૂલ નથી કરતો. મને ખબર નથી જો આવે ત્યારે હું ટાઈમ્સ ઓફ ઇન્ડિયા વાંચતો હતો અને એમને જોયું કે પાર્ટી તો ઇંગ્લિશ વાંચે છે. પછી આવી બોલવું નથી. But you can do it. You have topic. So that is it. Have I answered your question? પણ મને ગમશે જો તમે ફ્યુચર હાઉ ટુ સેટ ગોલ્સ એના પર વાત કરવા માંગતો હશો તો આઈ વિલ કમ. પણ કમસે કમ 10 દિવસ પહેલા મને કેવો તો મારું તો ગોલ્સ તૈયાર કરી શકું. તો ઇંગ્લિશ હેઝ given meaning to my personal and professional life. દિવસનો એક પણ ક્ષણ મારી ફાલતુ નથી જતી. I use every moment. અને એટલું સારું છે કે ગુજરાતમાં નહીં ઇંગ્લિશનો ઉપયોગ કરવો હોય તો સાંજની રાહ જો સાંજ પડે બારી બારણા બંધ કરી મારી શરૂઆત જ ઇંગ્લિશથી થાય છે દિવસની. એન્ડ માય વાઇફને કોઈ ઓબ્જેક્શન નથી. થેન્ક યુ વેરી મચ.
Any student who wants to give feedback? कोई एक मिनट. Guys, आ जाओ. अरे ठीक है, आ जाए. हाँ जती रहे, चल जती रहे चल. You can give your feedback in English, Gujarati, Hindi, any language. ठीक है.
ડેલી હું મારો વર્લ્ડ ન્યૂઝ તો ન્યૂઝપેપર જોવાના જે ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ ન્યૂઝ હોય એના યુટ્યુબ વિડિયોઝ ડાઉનલોડ કરવાના એને સાંભળો તો ફાયદા થાય તમને દુનિયાની ખબર પડી રહી છે ઇન્ડિયામાં શું થાય એની ખબર પડી રહી છે એટલે હિસ્ટ્રી શીખો અને લિટરેચર ઇઝ ધ બેસ્ટ મેથડ અને જો કદાચ તમને ઇન્ડિયન રાઇટર્સની શરૂઆત કરવી જોઈએ આર.કે. નારાયણ કે પુષ્પ બેસ્ટ રાઇટર્સ સારું છે અને વર્લ્ડ ક્લાસ લખી રહ્યા છે એવું નથી અને સારા રાઇટર્સના નામ છે હું આપીશ નીતિશ સરને પ્લસ ઉદાહરણ સાહેબ ઇંગ્લિશમાં તો જેફરી આર્ચરનો વાંચો મજા આવે એટલે સ્ટોરી સારી છે ટાઈમ પાસ થાય ને મજા આવે તો રિલેક્સેશન પ્લસ લર્ન and it will improve your English. The speech માટે choose your model. Even તમે પ્રિયંકા ચોપરાને સાંભળો very struggle in life English first બોલી
share કરી રહ્યા છો that's what I love to say. Just the subject में લખતું નહીં સર but સબ્જેક્ટના implications શું છે વિઝ્યુઅલ ભણીએ છે but તમે પછીનો જે સેશન લીધો છે how it is practically so very fruitful fruitful in the real sense of the word. એના માટે સર
હવે અત્યારે ડોક્ટર માસ્ટર્સ જેવી ચિંતા છે કે આગલી જિંદગી
તમને તો કોઈ આટલી જિંદગી છે
જો સમય બેઠા તો પડતો તું એક જણી એટલે ડિગ્રી નહીં ઇન્ટરેસ્ટ બધા એટલે શું થાય કે તમારો જે ઇન્ટરેસ્ટ છે એટલે અર્નિંગનો સોર્સ બનાવો તો કોઈ સાયન્ટિસ્ટે કીધું કે આઈ નેવર વર્ક ફોર અ ડે ઇન માય લાઈફ આઈ એન્જોયડ ઇટ તો સદભાગ્ય ઇંગ્લિશ પૂરે એન્જોય જ કરવું જોઈએ ક્લાસમાં વિદ્યાર્થી આવત ના આવે આપણને મજા છે આવા તો ભણાવીશું નહીં આવા તો વાંચીશું and I am the first person to reach my college મજા જ આવે છે એટલે ઘરે મજા આવે છે કોલેજ મજા આવે અમારે એવું છે
Thank you so much.
Thank you.